A brown lawn is not a dead lawn until you check the growing point. Grass blades can turn straw-colored while the crown, the small base of the plant at the soil line, stays alive and ready to regrow when conditions improve. Before you rip anything out, do a 3-part lawn panic test. First, inspect several grass plants, not just one spot, and look for firm crowns with any green or white tissue inside. Second, lift a small plug of turf and check whether the roots are pale, flexible and holding soil, or dark, brittle and breaking away. Third, mark a small test area, water it deeply, and watch for new green growth over the next several days. This works because dormant grass is conserving energy, while dead grass cannot respond. And one quick tug can fool you, so do not judge the whole lawn from a single handful of brown blades. Brown is a symptom, not a verdict. Grass has a dramatic little survival trick called drought dormancy, where it lets the blades brown out so the important parts can stay alive. The top growth looks crispy, the lawn looks offended, and your brain starts pricing sod, but the crown and roots may still be hanging on. That crown is the plant's command center at the soil line. When water gets scarce or heat gets ridiculous, cool season grasses especially may stop pushing green blades and shift into energy-saving mode. It is not pretty. It is not what anyone wants beside the patio furniture, but it can be temporary. The pattern of the browning gives you a big clue. If the whole lawn fades in a fairly even way during a hot, dry stretch, dormancy is near the top of the suspect list. Think of it like the lawn dimming the lights instead of burning the house down. Irregular patches deserve a closer look. A random circle by the sidewalk, a crescent near the driveway, a strip that matches the sprinkler's blind spot, or a spot where the dog has made strong personal contributions can point to something besides simple dormancy. Disease, insects, urine, heat reflected from concrete, compacted soil, shallow roots, mower stress, or poor irrigation coverage can all create brown areas that look similar from the kitchen window. Here is the sneaky part. The same brown patch can have more than one cause at the same time. A dry area near the curb may also be compacted. A sprinkler gap may invite heat stress. A weak patch from grubs may brown faster during drought because the roots cannot pull enough moisture. Lawns are very good at making one ugly spot into a group project, so before you label the yard dead, look at both the plant and the pattern. Uniform seasonal browning usually points toward dormancy. Sharp edges, odd shapes, repeated trouble spots, or patches that ignore nearby healthy grass tell you to investigate further. The goal is not to diagnose everything from one glance. The goal is to stop treating straw-colored blades like a final sentence, because the next step is figuring out whether the lawn is sleeping, struggling, or actually gone. Before you decide what the brown color means, you have to know what kind of grass you are looking at. The same straw-colored lawn can be perfectly normal in one region and a warning sign in another, simply because different grasses rest at different times of year. Cool season lawns are most common across the north and in many higher elevation areas. This group includes Kentucky bluegrass, tall fescue, perennial ryegrass, and fine fescue. These grasses do their best growing in cooler weather, especially spring and fall. When summer turns hot and dry, they can slow down hard, lose color, and slip into dormancy to protect the crown and roots. That means a brown, cool season lawn in July or August is not automatically dead. It may be reacting to heat, low rainfall, water restrictions, shallow soil, or a stretch of weather that is simply outside its comfort zone. The recovery window usually lines up with cooler temperatures and moisture returning, not with the hottest week of the year. Warm season lawns follow a different calendar. These are common through the south and include Bermuda grass, zoysia grass, St. Augustine grass, and centipede grass. They thrive when temperatures are warm, and they often look their strongest during the part of summer when cool season lawns are under the most stress. For warm season grass, winter browning is often normal dormancy. As temperatures drop, the lawn may turn tan or brown, even though the plant is still alive at the soil line. Bermuda grass and zoysia grass can go fully straw-colored in cold weather and then green up again when consistent warmth returns. That is not the same repair schedule as a northern lawn struggling through summer drought. The transition zone is where people get into trouble. If you live through the middle band of the country, you may have either type of grass or even a mix. Tall fescue, zoysia grass, Bermuda grass, and bluegrass can all show up in different yards, sometimes in the same neighborhood. So planting dates, watering expectations, and green-up timelines can change from one property to the next. If you are not sure what you have, look at the blade texture, growth habit, and local lawn recommendations before you follow a repair calendar. A creeping grass that spreads by runners does not behave like a bunch-type fescue. A lawn that browns every winter should not be judged by a cool season spring schedule. Once the grass type and season make sense, the color becomes a clue instead of a panic button. Then the real test starts lower down, at the base of the plant, where living grass usually gives itself away. Start by pulling a few small samples from the brown area, not just one handful from the middle. Take one plant from the edge where brown grass meets greener grass, then take another from the center of the patch. If the edge looks alive and the center looks weak, the patch may be expanding from stress, disease, insects, or dry soil. If every sample looks the same, you have a better read on the whole area. Look low on the plant, right where the blades meet the soil. That growing point is called the crown, and it matters more than the color of the upper blade. Brown leaf tips can hang around after heat, mowing stress, drought, or winter dormancy, but the crown is where the plant has to stay alive if it is going to recover. Separate the blades with your fingers and inspect the base closely. Living crown usually feels firm or slightly flexible, not mushy and not hollow. You may see pale green, white, or light-colored tissue near the base, even when the taller blades are tan. In some grasses, you might also spot tiny new green shoots tucked inside the older brown leaves. Do not judge the lawn by the driest-looking blade in your hand. Older leaves can dry out first, while the lower plant is still holding on. What you are looking for is a sign that the crown has structure, moisture, and the ability to push new growth when conditions improve. Now compare several samples. If the crowns near the edge are firm and show a little green, while the center has weak or damaged crowns, the dead area may be concentrated in the worst part of the patch. That can happen where heat reflects off pavement, irrigation misses a spot, foot traffic compacts the soil, or pests feed in one zone. The more concerning sign is a patch where crown after crown is brittle, dry, collapsed, or breaks apart easily. If the base of the plant looks dead across the whole area, tan leaf tips are no longer the main issue. The growing point may be too damaged to restart. Still, do not stop the test at the crown. A crown can look decent for a short time, even when the plant is losing the fight below the soil. The next clue is underground, where the roots tell you whether that grass can actually come back. Use the lightest test first. Grab a small clump of brown grass close to the soil line and give it a gentle tug, not a hard yank. You are not trying to rip the lawn out. You are checking whether the plant still has roots holding it in place. If the grass resists and you feel the soil holding it, that is a better sign than grass that slips out with almost no effort. Living or recoverable turf usually has at least some roots still attached. They may be short, thin, or stressed, but they are doing enough to anchor the plant. Now test more than one spot. Tuck near the edge of the brown patch, then tuck in the center. And if the patch is large, check another area. A single handful can fool you. One damaged spot does not prove the whole patch is dead, and one attached clump does not prove the whole patch is safe. If the grass comes up easily, look at the bottom of what you pulled. Severely damaged turf may have very few roots or roots that look chewed, missing, dried out, or broken off. That tells you the plant may not be able to take up water, even if the crown still looked somewhat intact a moment ago. For a clearer view, lift a small soil plug. Use a hand trowel, soil knife, or shovel to cut a small square or wedge a few inches deep. Keep it small because this is an inspection, not excavation. Turn it gently and look at the root zone where the grass meets the soil. Healthy roots are usually attached to the turf and threaded into the soil. Stressed roots may be shorter than normal, but you should still see some connection. If the top layer of sod peels back easily, almost like lifting carpet, the roots have been weakened or removed. That carpet-like peeling is one classic clue for white grubs, because grubs feed on grass roots below the surface. You may find the white, curved larvae in the soil under the loose turf. If you see them, count what is actually present in the plug instead of treating based on fear. This matters because drought and grubs can show up at the same time. Dry soil can make roots weak, and root-feeding insects can make drought damage look worse. The plug is a clue, not a courtroom confession. Use it with direct inspection and local treatment thresholds before deciding whether the lawn needs pest control, water, reseeding, or time. Now check whether the grass can still answer water. Pick one small section inside the brown area, about the size of a dinner plate or a little larger, and mark it with flags, sticks, string, or even a few small stones. The point is to test one known spot, not to panic water the whole lawn and then wonder what changed. Water that marked patch with a controlled amount. You want moisture to move into the root zone, not run down the sidewalk or sit on the surface. A simple way is to water slowly. Pause if it starts to puddle, then continue until the soil is damp a few inches down. If you are not sure, push a screwdriver or soil probe into the ground after watering. If it slides in more easily than before, water reached below the surface. Do this in the early morning if you can. Morning watering gives the lawn time to take up moisture before the hottest part of the day, and it lets the blades dry out instead of staying wet overnight. That does not mean every lawn needs water every morning. Established turf usually does better with deeper, less frequent watering, adjusted for your soil, grass type, recent rain, heat, wind, and local watering rules. Now leave the test area alone long enough to respond. Over the next several appropriate days, compare the marked patch with the untreated brown area around it. Look for small signs, a little new green growth at the base, blades that bend instead of snap, or a patch that stops getting worse. Fast recovery is not guaranteed because cool season and warm season grasses respond differently, and temperature can speed up or slow down the comeback. If the marked area improves, the grass was likely dormant or drought stressed enough to respond to moisture. That does not mean you should flood the entire yard. It means you should correct the watering pattern gradually and aim for even, deep moisture where the lawn actually needs it. If the marked area keeps declining after a fair test, water alone may not be the answer. Compacted soil, damaged roots, insects, disease, heat injury, or dead crowns may be involved, and the earlier tuck test and soil plug become more important. Here is the part many people miss. This water test is also a sprinkler test. If only certain brown zones respond, your lawn may be showing you a coverage problem, not a death sentence. The grass might not be failing everywhere. Your irrigation may be missing that spot. The next clue is not how brown the grass looks. It is the shape of the browning. A lawn that is going dormant from seasonal heat or drought usually fades in a broad, fairly even way. Color may shift from green to gray-green, then tan or straw-colored across large areas, especially where the whole yard has been under the same weather stress. That kind of uniform browning is often a survival response, not instant death. Lethal injury usually has a pattern you can map. Look for sharp-edged spots, dead strips along sidewalks or driveways, curved rings, random patches, streaks from equipment, or one section that looks bad while nearby grass looks normal. Those shapes matter because they point to causes. Edges can mean reflected heat, salt, or runoff. Streaks can mean fertilizer burn, chemical overlap, or mower-related damage. Rings and expanding patches can raise suspicion for disease or soil problems. Now connect that pattern to your sprinklers. Uneven coverage can make a healthy lawn look like it is failing in scattered zones. Put straight-sided catch cans like tuna cans or small cups with vertical sides in several places, near sprinkler heads, halfway between heads, and inside the driest looking areas. Run the system for a set amount of time, then compare the water depth in each can. If one can has much less water than the others, The brown area may be thirsty because the sprinkler pattern is weak, blocked, tilted, or not overlapping correctly. Also check for small, concentrated spots from dog urine. These often show up as round or irregular dead patches, sometimes with a darker green outer ring where diluted nitrogen acted like fertilizer. Fresh urine damage is easier to reduce if you dilute it quickly with water. Once the crown is dead, watering will not magically rebuild that plant, but it can limit the burn around it. If this is helping you read your lawn instead of guessing, subscribe before you start treating the wrong problem. Here is why the pattern matters so much. Water can help drought stress, poor coverage, and some heat-related slowdown. The same water can make certain fungal diseases worse if the lawn stays wet too long, especially overnight. So before you add more irrigation, read the map the lawn is giving you. Broad and even points one direction. Spots, rings, edges, and streaks point somewhere else. This is where the panic watering can backfire. Some brown patches are not asking for more water. They are being helped along by too much leaf wetness, warm nights, and humid air. Brown patch disease, for example, is favored by warm, humid conditions and long periods when the grass blades stay wet. It is especially common on susceptible cool season grasses like tall fescue and perennial ryegrass. The important detail is that the fungus is not living because the soil is simply dry. It thrives when the leaf surface stays wet long enough for disease activity to increase. That can happen after rain, heavy dew, poor air movement, or irrigation that runs late in the day and leaves the lawn wet into the night. Look closely at the grass blades, not just the patch from across the yard. Disease symptoms can show up as lesions, tan areas with darker borders, or thinning patches that seem to expand during warm, muggy weather. But do not diagnose a lawn disease from one blurry photo or one symptom. Heat stress, dull mower blades, fertilizer injury, insect feeding, and poor irrigation coverage can all create confusing lookalikes. If disease is a real possibility, use your local university extension service as the next step. They will have guidance for your grass type, your region, and the diseases active in your area. That matters because a fungicide decision should not be a guess. The right product, timing, and need for treatment depend on the disease, the turf species, and local recommendations. Irrigation timing is one of the simplest changes you can make without buying anything. Water in the early morning when the lawn can use the moisture and the blades can dry as the day begins. Avoid watering in the evening or at night unless there is a specific emergency, because that can extend leaf wetness for hours. Also avoid short, frequent sprinkler cycles that keep the surface damp without putting enough water into the root zone. That pattern can drain shallow roots and create a damp canopy, which is a bad combination during humid weather. And even if fungus is not the culprit, two quieter problems can still be working underneath the brown areas. Soil that cannot support strong roots, and shade that slowly weakens the grass before summer ever arrives. Compacted soil can make a living lawn look worse than it really is, because the roots are trapped in a bad environment. Healthy soil has pore space. Those small openings hold air and water, and they give roots room to grow. When soil gets compacted by foot traffic, parked equipment, pets, construction, or repeated mowing patterns, those openings collapse. Water runs off or sits near the surface. Oxygen drops and roots stay short. Then, when heat or drought arrives, the grass has less root system to survive on. A simple clue is how water behaves. If irrigation or rain beats up, runs toward the sidewalk, or leaves the surface slick while the soil below stays dry, compaction may be part of the problem. You can also push a screwdriver into the soil. If it stops quickly in the brown area but slides in more easily in healthier turf, the issue may not be dead grass. It may be grass growing in soil that cannot support it well. Shade creates a different kind of trap. Under large trees, the grass is not just getting less sunlight. It is also competing with tree roots for water and nutrients. Even shade-tolerant grasses still need enough light to produce energy, and many lawns under dense canopies thin out year after year before summer stress finally exposes the weakness. In those spots, conventional turf may simply be the wrong plant. Pruning trees can sometimes improve light and airflow, but some areas are better converted to mulch, ground covers, paths, or shade-adapted plantings instead of reseeding the same struggling grass again. Severe drought is the line you do not want to cross. Dormant grass can come back when the crowns and roots stay alive, but if they dry beyond recovery, the plant is dead. That is why a lawn can start as dormant and become dead if drought lasts too long, without enough soil moisture to protect the growing points. Once your test points to alive, dead, or mixed turf, the next question is not just what to do, it is when to do it, because the calendar can decide whether repair works or wastes seed, sod, water, and effort. Repair timing starts with the grass type, not the month on the wall. A brown lawn in Minnesota and a brown lawn in Georgia may need completely different repair windows, even if they fail the same tuck test. For cool season lawns in the north, such as Kentucky bluegrass, perennial ryegrass, and tall fescue, seeding is usually most reliable from late summer into early fall. The soil is still warm enough for germination, the hottest weather is fading, and young grass has time to root before winter. New seed needs consistently moist surface soil until it sprouts, so light, frequent watering matters more than deep watering at first. For warm season lawns in the south, such as Bermuda grass, zoysia grass, centipede grass, and St. Augustine grass, establishment normally happens after active growth begins in late spring or early summer. These grasses spread and recover best when the weather is warm, days are long, and the lawn is actually growing. The transition zone is where the calendar trap catches people. Cool season and warm season grasses can both be present, sometimes in the same yard. Identify the grass first, then choose the repair season that matches the plant you are trying to save or replace. Your repair plan comes from agreement between the tests. If crowns look alive, roots hold firm, and water response is good, recovery may be enough. If all three point the other way, plan for renovation. If the signals are mixed, repair in sections instead of treating the whole lawn as one problem. Use the decision tree before you spend money. Living crowns, roots that stay attached, and green response after watering point to dormancy or recoverable stress. Dry crowns, missing roots, and no water response point to likely death or serious injury. Your next move is simple. Inspect several plants, lift one small plug, and mark one test area for watering. Give that spot a fair chance, then compare it with the rest of the lawn. For local timing, disease confirmation, and pesticide decisions, check your university extension service before treating the yard. Thanks for watching. Comment with your grass type and what your test showed, and subscribe for more practical lawn and garden troubleshooting.